Everything seems to be in order. Everything is cool. Hey everybody. It's been a long time. Well, it's been like a month. I know some of you are thinking, what took you so long? Well, let's just say I had a bit of a sidetrack. My tablet here stopped working all of a sudden. But thanks to one of my friends at church, he got it fixed. Now I'm back in business. And of course, I'm going to continue on doing my science fiction review. And I've been printing out a lot of science fiction franchises, but I've been thinking, since I haven't been doing any reviews in a while, I decided to shorten it a bit. I mean, there were some sci-fi that I found was pretty okay, and others, at first I was thinking about reviewing it, and then I thought to myself, maybe next time. But this ain't gonna stop me to do this review that I always wanted to talk about ever since, way before my tablet stopped working. And I see that the temperature is getting a little hot. It's like 79. It's the first time you ever see me drunk water, huh? Anyway, this review I'm going to review for you today, folks, is a science fiction comedy. But this science fiction comedy, it's made in ancient Egypt! Actually, it's not that ancient. It was made back in 1959. And believe it or not, 1959 was during the time way before those extremists starts pitching in and ruin everything. But, the first time my grandma and I saw this sci-fi comedy, it deserves to be reviewed. Because nobody haven't heard from it until today! And, according to my Doctor Who pocket watch, it's going to be another science fiction comedy, and the science fiction comedy made back in 1959 is none other than Trip to the Moon. A Trip to the Moon. Now, even though it says A Trip to the Moon, the original title is actually called Journey to the Moon. But when it got to America, they decided to change the title and call it A Trip to the Moon. So this is going to be like A Trip to the Moon, aka Journey to the Moon. But this is not like any other movie at all. And you have these characters. These characters right here. Now, this guy, he's like the main focus, decent guy. And he goes by the name of Rushdie. Now, Rushdie, he's a reporter who wants to do an interview with a scientist who's planning to go to the moon. And it's this scientist here. And his name is Dr. Well, actually, Mr. Yeah, they don't call them professors or doctors in Egypt. They call him Mr. Sorry, folks. A dog showed up. A German Shepherd, of all things. But it's a good thing he didn't attack me. He just kept walking that way. Anyway, the scientist, he goes by the name of Mr. Charbon. Now, he is a brilliant scientist who wanted to go to the moon. 'Cause we're supposed to go to the moon. Why are we supposed to go to the moon? Because it's our destiny to explore the galaxy. Not bad Kennedy, huh? Here in the new frontier, people of Berlin, I'm a donut. Yeah, I read history. You know me, history is one of my favorite things. Anyway, and of course, Rushdie met this guy, who is actually made to be a comic relief. He goes by the name of Ismail. Ismail. That's his name. Now, Rajdi and Ismail decided to do an interview exclusive to Mr. Shavin. And surprisingly, Ismail accidentally knocked Mr. Shavin in conscience because Mr. Shavin blamed him as a spy, but he's not. He's just a bumbling idiot. And all of a sudden, Rajdeen and Ismail accidentally they left off. So now, Dr. Shavin, Rajdi, and Ismail ended up in the moon. And when they put on their spacesuits and started exploring the area, from out of nowhere, this robot shows up. Now this robot, he starts walking around the moon, and he has this ability to hypnotize people. And he was hypnotizing and controlling them and telling them to go this way. And that's when they start going into this building, and it was owned by a alien who is a scientist who goes by the name of Mr. Cosmos. Now, Mr. Cosmos was a brilliant scientist in the planet Moon. But the problem is that radiation started to spread all over the moon, that most of the people, mostly the men, are getting radiation and getting really, really sick. So pretty much Mr. Cosmos, him and his 7 daughters, yeah, that's right, he has 7 daughters, including her. He wants them to go to Earth so they can live a decent life there. And of course, Rajdeed started falling in love with her. Her name is Sanova. Sanova. Her name is Sanova. Now, at first, she kind of thinks of Rajdeed as a jerk, but she starts to realize that he's a really decent guy, and he's a nice guy, so she starts liking him. As for Ismail, he starts becoming friends to his robot. So, Mr. Cosmos talked to Mr. Shavin that he wants Mr. Shavin to take him and his daughter and his robot to Earth so they can live a normal, decent life. And of course, Ismail, he got along with the robot, even though he kind of act like a gentleman towards all the other ladies, but all he ever thinks about is getting drunk and hanging out with his robot buddy. Comic relief, huh? Anyway, the only way they need to get back, they need the certain radiation from the cave where all those radiated soldiers were at. They're living miserably from the radiation they've gone through from so many battles and wars that happened years ago. Anyway, they found the rocks, they found the minerals they were looking for in order to help get their ship back to Earth. So now, Rajdeed, Ismail, Sanova, Mr. Shavin, Mr. Cosmos, and his 7 daughters finally got back to their rocket ship and finally went back all the way back to Earth. So, throughout the entire story, Mr. Shavin, Mr. Cosmos decided to stay with Mr. Shavin, so they have a lot of scientific ideas they can do together. while his 7 daughters can go out do whatever they want. While Rashdeen, who is with Sanova, well, let's just say they're going to start living their own life on Earth. While Ismail and his robot buddy are going to be on Earth, being buds on Earth. And that is a trip to the moon to you folks. Now, I don't know about you guys. I mean, one thing I got to say about the movie is that they speak in their Egyptian language. So, except for Mr. Shavine, he's speaking Egyptian, but he's also trying to mix a couple of German to it, like they always think that all scientists are German. Sometimes I always kept hearing a little bit of German into Mr. Savine's accent. And also said, and I also heard him say wunderbar, which is German for wonderful. Anyway, I don't know about you, but this one was a pretty good movie, and I'm surprised that that people from Egypt made this movie way before everything changed for the worse. But this movie should be heard and should be well known to everybody. Anyway, those of you who likes my review of A Trip to the Moon or Journey to the Moon, please leave a comment. Anybody like my review of it, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe. Now for my next review, I'm going to review something that I've been thinking about it, but now I decided to do it. I'm going to review a Frankenstein movie, and it's definitely a science fiction one. And I know some of you are thinking, why Frankenstein? I don't think Frankenstein's science fiction, it's horror. Well, if you ever read history about science fiction, folks, Frankenstein is a science fiction story. And I'll explain more about it on the way. But, till now, you all should stay tuned. So this is Multi-Voice Reviewer. I should be called Multi-Voice Doctor, which that is exactly what I'd be called on my audio drama. Anyway, stay tuned, folks, and later.